Hello everyone, this is another of my chess videos, and again it's myself playing white against Numpty07, my favourite chess engine, as black. And this second video is again in the CKannAdvg4 variation, G4 bayonet, and this is my favourite opening against Numpty and against the Caro-Kann opening. So here we go, let's just crack on. You know these opening moves by now. White plays e4. Black Caro-Kann reply is c6, white plays d4, and black replies d5, and white plays the advance e5 pawn move, and black replies by getting the bishop out beyond the pawn chain and leaving it at f5. Now the advanced bayonet variation is an attack on that bishop, try to challenge it, and you can immediately play g4 to do that. But here I decide just to do a developing move, slightly different variation, keep the development. So I want to develop one of my pieces first, and I choose knight to c3, so I play knight to c3. Numpty then closes off the pawn chain and makes his own little pawn pointy structure in the center there, pawn chain, with pawn to e6, and the bishop is now outside the pawn chain. But now I want to go and attack that bishop, and the whole point of the advance bayonet g4 variation is to play the g4 move, which I do, and Numpty plays bishop to g6 to get out of the way, of course. And again, the whole point of this variation for me now is to go and chase that bishop, so I play h4. Numpty plays bishop to b4, pinning my knight, the white knight, on c3 against the king, and still I have to chase the black light squared bishop on g6. So to do this I play h5. So that bishop's under attack now, and it comes to a nice square in the centre, that black thinks anyway, which is e4. But I have a move to completely move all my kingside pawns, which is f3, and attack that bishop, and this is a whole exciting point for white, so I do that, and now that bishop has to decide what it's going to do. Well, what does Numpty reply? First off, Numpty plays the dark squared bishop, takes knight c3, and I recapture with b takes bishop c3. And still Numpty has now this question of his light squared bishop under attack from the pawn on f3, and he decides to sacrifice the bishop for a pawn, in this instance with the move bishop takes c2, and I of course take back with the queen, queen takes bishop c2. So now I'm up a bishop for a pawn, and really what I want to do now is just develop my pieces, keep my king safe, and see it through to the end game without any major problems, and I should win the game, being the bishop the pawn up at the end. So that hopefully is my simple plan. See what Numpty plays, starts to develop now with knight to d7, and I reply in kind, only this time knight to e2. Numpty keeps developing with his other knight to d7. I decide I need to get some inertia and space for some of my pieces as well as developing, so I just play c4 here, attacking the black pawn chain, pointy pawn chain, and black does a standard good move, castling. So that black pawn chain was intact, and I decide to start my plan off, and I play c takes d. Numpty plays back c takes d. So black still has a reasonable pawn chain there, but we'll see how I can develop my pieces from here and hopefully keep my advantage. I have two pawn chains, one in the centre and one to the side, and we'll see how I can protect those. So anyway, I develop my knight to c3, which is usually a good square for the knight. At the moment there is no pawn to protect that knight on b2, but the knight's still towards the centre, and this frees up space for my light squared bishop on f1. Numpty then goes to attack my pawn chain with f6, and I go to protect my pawn chain again with f4. Now Numpty plays knight c6. This is attacking the white pawn on d4. and I want to protect that, so I play bishop out to e3, and Numpty plays extra pressure on the d4 pawn with queen to b6. So I protect with my queen, and I put my queen to d3. Numpty plays quite an obvious move, knight to b4, attacking the white queen. So I just drop the white queen back to d2, still protecting the c2 square from the knight attack. If black played knight to c2, that would be check, and a fork, forking the rook, the king and the rook, which would not be good news for white. So I want to avoid that. What Numpty does is actually play rook to c8, attacking the white knight. So I go and defend the white knight with rook to c1. Numpty now plays f takes d, plays f takes e rather, e5, attacking my pawn chain, and I play f takes e5, attacking the pawn chain. And now the f file is a completely open file, and it's good at the moment for Numpty. He's got his rook on it, and so he has more control on that. I only have my light square bishop at f1, which I decide to develop now and play to b5, and so Numpty has full control with his rook on the f file, and he takes advantage and plays his rook to a strong square f3. I decide to take off the pieces here, and I play bishop takes knight. Numpty takes the bishop back with rook. Rook takes bishop c6. And now I see the black king doesn't have a lot of protection around it, and I want to further hammer against that protection. And so I try and take out the pawn on g7 with the move h6. Numpty takes back, doubling up his pawns, and also that side is vulnerable from my queen and bishop battery and my rook on h1. And indeed I decide to take the pawn on h6 with bishop. Bishop takes h6. Numpty now moves the queen to d8, with the possibility of putting his queen somewhere maybe on the f file and having a strong battery on the f file. But I don't know quite what happens. But I want to free up the h file, so I retreat my bishop to g5, freeing up the h file for my rook. Numpty now plays his queen back to b6, which confuses me a little. He's just putting a bit more pressure in the centre, I guess, but I'm not sure why he just made two similar queen moves back and forth. And at this stage I want to go and challenge on the f file and get Numpty's domination of it and try and deal with that. So I play rook to f1. Numpty doesn't want to exchange. He plays rook to g3, threatening the g file, threatening the white pieces, the white pawn and bishop on there. Now though I play queen to f4, so I've got a strong battery of two major pieces now on the f file, and in fact now I'm in control of the f file. That did weaken the c3 square, and so Numpty can now play rook takes knight c3, so I'm losing a knight here, going to go down a knight. I take back with my rook, and Numpty takes back with his rook. So the pieces are even, but the black king is in an open position, and I can go and play a good move, queen to f7 check. And the only way for Numpty to play is now king to h8, and I can further apply pressure here with bishop to f6 check. Numpty, to get out of that, plays knight takes bishop, and I have a good move now, queen takes knight check. So Numpty now has to move the king, and the only free square is g8, king to g8, and now of course I'm utilising my full force of the queen and the rook on the f file, my full control of the f file, and queen to f8 is checkmate. So that ends the game, and the f file did prove a valuable ally to me there. Initially Numpty had control of it, but he relinquished the control, and I took full control and moved over. So I enjoy the G4 bayonet variation, and I hope you have too. And Chris, if you're watching, get Numpty's bayonet variation sharpened up, and I look forward to more games with it. Thank you.